It should be screen recording now. Okay, we're going to go over booklet 1, so everyone give your undivided attention. Because I'm screen recording this, I'm just going to go straight through. So if there's any unusual problems, you can tell me after, but hopefully there aren't. So everyone should have booklet 1 open up, exercise 1. Now I'm going to be covering some various Excel skills. We're going to be doing some formatting. Everything we do is lesson and required to get your points for this assignment. Okay, so we started with putting data in. So the first exercise 1, you should be in. Your first tab should say EX period space 1. I don't care if the EX is both capital or just the E's capital, but it should be looking good. And then you got all your other ones down here, exercise 2, 3, 4, up through 7. Now up here, first of all, I would change the view. I'm going to put my 200%. I'd go at least 150% on yours. And over here, up at the very top, we have our columns. We have A, B, C, and so forth. Go ahead and put your cursor, if you haven't done this yet, between the column names, like A and B, and it becomes a double arrow. And you could resize that. So depending what you think looks good, sometimes you make it wider, sometimes you make it a little narrower, sometimes you just leave it just the way it is. But every time you do a spreadsheet, or what we do here, the worksheets. Remember, if I say spreadsheet or worksheet, it means the same thing. I expect you to format to look good. So that means in some cases you're going to make these narrower, some you're going to make it wider. Now sometimes you might say, Mr. Rio, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to do like that? Am I supposed to make it like that? What am I supposed to do? Use common sense. We don't want it super tight. That looks kind of sloppy. And we don't want it super wide either. Now, what I do, if it's something like this, I'm not real picky. Anywhere right around there would be fine. If I have like a whole lot of them and I'm trying to fit them into the width of a page, then I make some of them narrower to fit them onto the width of a page. I'll talk about when we get wide ones about how to try to fit it into the width of a page. Because if you're going to print it, you don't always want it going onto another page to the right. Okay, let's highlight these first 3 up here. Just drag across cells A1, B1, and C1. Now, the first thing we're going to do is make them bold. Then we're going to click up here. Now, we're up here. Now, I believe everyone has these menus out. I mentioned it before in class. If you don't, go to View menu, go to Toolbars, and you should have both the standard and the formatting toolbars out, in case you missed that. Okay? And go up here and click to center it. It's up here. You can go right up there and do that. You don't have to, but if you wanted to do a color, you could highlight here and pick a color, like I'm going to do blue just to demonstrate it. That's optional for this. You don't have to do a color on this one. Okay, now at this point here, we got very basic information. As a matter of fact, it's so little information, the actual booklet I got didn't give specific directions what to do with it. So they kind of let the teacher decide how they want to do this. So we have 4 people's names. Okay, assuming that's their last names. We have sales. So I assume sales is in dollar amounts when they're written like this. So we're going to highlight this here. And even though you can click the $ here and do that, what's the way I prefer you do it? Anyone remember? You go to the Format menu, and where do you go? Column. Good guess, but no. Nope. Nope. Very good. Okay, so we go to Format and Cells. Now that's going to bring up this box here. Unless I tell you otherwise, we're always in the first category, which is number. And we're going to click on Currency. Now just to review here, currency, that usually you leave the decimals at 2. Okay, that's usually how currency is written. We leave our $sign. Unless I tell you otherwise, everything we do is going to be in dollars. If we were going to have negative numbers, we'd want to make a decision how we want our negative numbers to look. But since we have no negative numbers, I really don't care what that's set on. Go ahead and hit OK. Okay, so that does our sales and currency using the Format menu. Now for earnings. Okay. Right now, we have to come up with a formula for earnings. So earnings, usually when you do sales, your earnings are not the entire amount, correct? Okay, why are your earnings not the entire amount usually? Because, you know, you get part of the sales, right? Because the rest pays for the whatever it is you're selling, the products and that. So we're going to pretend that you get 20% of the sales. Okay? So click in here for C3, put an equal sign. Now what would we do to calculate 20% of the amount? Okay? What would we do to calculate 20% of the amount? It's actually really easy. Go ahead. Yep, we take the sales that were done and multiply it by 0.20. Okay, that would give us 20%. Now, we don't literally put 987.16. How come? Because that could change. What if we came back tomorrow and realized, whoop, we put the wrong sale number in there? Then we'd have to redo our formula and everything. Kind of defeats the purpose of a spreadsheet. So instead of putting 987.16, we put B3. Okay? So we put the cell that it's in. So if that number ever changes, it'll automatically recalculate. Then for multiplication, we put an asterisk. Okay, so we have to press Shift key and the number 8, which has the asterisk above it. Now we put 0.2. Now you could put 0.20, which is the exact same thing. So whether you put 0.2 or 0.20, it's going to be the exact same formula. And then press return. Now that gives us $197.43. So we're going to pretend that that is our earnings. Our earnings is 20% of it. So that's what we made on those sales. Okay, now we could go through and do this one at a time on 4, 5, and 6. But I'm going to show you a shortcut. It's called fill down. So we're going to click in the cell we just put the formula in, the B3 times 0.2. We're going to click in there. Now drag down to include the next 3 empty cells. Everybody with me there? So we're highlighting from C3 down to C6. Then go up to the edit menu, and where do you think we go to fill down? You go to fill, and then where to? Down. Very good. Now what did fill down just do? Let me explain. It took the formula in C3, and it not only copied it over to C4, C5, and C6, but if you click in each of those, it readjusted it for each row. Okay, it readjusted it for each row. So for each row, it changed the reference to that row, such as this one did B4, this one did B5, this one did B6. Okay, so it's a really easy way to fill all the formulas down that follows that. Any questions there? Okay, so is that simple or what? Go ahead and do a save just to update that. Now let's click on exercise 2. Okay, exercise 2. We got overdue accounts. Okay, let's highlight where it says overdue accounts and make that bold and make it 14 point. Now I'm going to make it a little bit wider there too. Just give us a little bit more space, not much. Then highlight the next 2 headings, which is name and amount due. Center it. Whoop. I don't know why I clicked that one. Center it. And make it bold, but leave it the same size. If you want to give it a different color, go for it. Okay, now we got name and we got amount due. Highlight this here. We're going to pretend the amount due is a dollar amount. So go to Format and go to Cells. Click on Currency and just leave the default and click OK. Now we got amount dues. Now it only shows overdue accounts. It doesn't say why it's overdue, where it came from, any of that kind of information. So for this one here, we're just going to do that. So in other words, somebody just wanted to put down on here, there's no formulas. They just put information they wanted to store. That's okay. People use Excel a lot just for like this. Not everything in Excel has to have formulas in it. Okay, so someone just keeping track of this here. Now, if we wanted to do some other calculation with this, we could, but right now there's nothing that I got planned for that. So just hit a save. Now let's go to exercise 3. We're going to highlight all these titles up here and just simply make them bold. Now, if you want to change the color of them, go for it, but at least make them bold. For these ones, we'll leave on the left. We won't center them. Okay, so we got tenure and we got salary. So let's highlight all the amounts for salary, which would be C6 to C9. Okay, this is an exercise 3. And let's go to Format, Cells, and click Currency, and hit OK. So now we got those for salary. Now tenure, we got 18, we got 5, we got 3, we got 12. We're going to pretend that, let's highlight the tenures and center it. So highlight these here, click up here, center that, make that look a little bit better. Okay, now we're going to add another category here. And even though it doesn't, let's see here, I'm going to deselect that. Okay. Okay, for here, we're simply going to say that they're getting paid based on, now it doesn't go into detail what tenure is. Is that a week? Is that a month? Is that a year? We're going to pretend that it's some type of bonus or extra money for doing X amount of time. We don't have a lot of information here, but we're going to pretend that this is supposed to be multiplied by that. Okay, so you're going to get extra money by how long you've been there. So this is more of a practice for formulas. So we're going to click here and put an equal sign. Now when you do a multiplication like this, it's fairly simple. First of all, if you're multiplying the tenure by the salary, it doesn't really matter the order you do it in, right? You could do B6 times C6 or vice versa. For simplicity, we'll just write manually B6, and then we'll put in the asterisk, and we'll put C6. Okay, we're going to pretend that that's what we're supposed to do here. B6 times C6, hit return. That gives us that amount. So we're pretending maybe it's a bonus for how long you work there or something like that. Okay. Now we're going to click here. Now this one here did not put it into a... Yeah, mine's 8,000. Did yours put in the dollar sign? Yeah. Okay, mine did not for some reason. It's supposed to? Well, if it didn't, all it means is you got to come up here and go to Cells and click on Currency and click OK. If it did do that, great. But if it didn't do that, go ahead and click on Currency. And because you went over 1,000, and put in a comma in there too. Okay, now we're going to drag down here, go to Edit, go to Fill, and go to Down, and that should calculate all those all the way down. So we're going to pretend that's some type of bonus based on how long you've been there, and you got a certain amount of money extra for each year or so you've been there. Okay, go up to exercise 4. Exercise 4 is just names. Let's highlight up here, make that bold. Not a whole. Let's make the middle initials centered. And there's not a whole lot you can do with this one. It's pretty simple. Okay, we'll just leave that as is. Let's go to exercise 5. Let's highlight all the titles here and make them bold. If you want to make them a different color, go for it. Okay, now we have numbers here. It doesn't say what the numbers are, but it looks like, well, it says annual bonus. So let's highlight name and annual bonus and center those. Let's highlight these numbers here and go up to Format, Cells, Currency, hit OK. And that's about all we're going to do on that one. Okay, exercise 6. We're going to highlight this first one here, make it bold and 14 point. And then highlight the other one separate. Make those bold, leave it 12 point, and we're going to center it. If you want to give it a color, go for it. I'm going to do a different color. I'll do red. Yeah, keep these ones at 12, the other one at 14. So the one on top at 14, these ones at 12. Okay, we're going to change the time. See these two informations right here? The time and the status. Center both of those. So I highlight both of them and center that. And this here is just keeping track of what looks to be appointments. Okay, we got the patient's name, we got doctor's name, who they're going to go see, the time they're supposed to go see them, and the status, whether they're old patients or new patients. So yeah, Excel is used for this kind of stuff too. It's not everything has to be calculations. So we just formatted that to make it look a little better, a little cleaner, a little more professional looking. And then the last one we're going to do on booklet 1 is exercise 7. Let's highlight hotel rates and make it 14 point. Let's highlight the guest, business, and other and make it bold and centered. Okay, these are rates for a hotel. Highlight here and go up to format, go to cells, click on currency, and do that. Now, why would these rates differ? Okay, let's start with the 3 categories, guest, business, and other. Do you know they usually have a lower business rate at hotels? Okay, reason for that's simple. A lot of business customers are repeat customers, and they often come on days and at times that aren't real busy with tourism. So hotels like business customers, and they want them to be loyal, and they want them to come back on a regular basis. So they often have a special discount for business customers. Other could be things like senior citizens or stuff like that. Military, you know, they usually have some categories of people that get a discount like that. AAA. Guess would be just your standard rate. So you could leave it like this and it wouldn't look all bad. Or you could highlight this here and center it. I'm going to let you decide. This one you can decide, whichever one you think looks best. If you want to leave it on the right, if you want to center it, whatever you think looks best. Okay, so this here is just some information about some hotel rates. And that's it. So this first booklet didn't have a lot of calculations in it. It's mostly about formatting. And this last one here, probably don't have to do a whole lot of adjustments here. You can, if you see a few things, you can adjust here and there. By the way, I didn't talk much about rows, but rows could be adjusted too. You can go over here on the left between like 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 and so forth. You could adjust this here if you wanted to. If you wanted to make this here spread out a little bit, you can do that. Go ahead and try to see how it works. Okay. So you can adjust the rows, you can adjust the columns. Everyone should know a cell reference. If you click on any cell, if you look up here, it's going to have like B10, C5, A3. That's the cell references. Any questions over these Excel basics? Okay, go ahead and hit save, and that is the completion of booklet 1.